Terry Richmond, the story's main character and a retired U.S. Marine veteran, was cruising along on his bicycle when local cops deliberately rammed into him with their car. They knocked him down and arrested him, assuming he was a criminal. During their initial search of Terry's belongings, the cops stumbled upon a hefty wad of cash. We're talking about 36 grand here. They immediately jumped to conclusions, accusing him of dealing drugs. But Terry wasn't having it. He insisted the money was legit, explaining that 10 grand was meant to bail out his cousin, and the rest. Well, that was for his boat hauling gig. The cops weren't buying it though. They gave Terry an ultimatum: hand over all the cash or face drug trafficking charges. Poor Terry, left with no choice, reluctantly gave up every penny he'd scraped together from selling his assets. In the next scene, Terry marches into the local police station to report the theft. He spills the beans about the two crooked cops, describing their appearance and all. The female officer, Sims, wastes no time and runs to her boss, Sandy Byrne, with the news. Sandy, cool as a cucumber, tells Terry that all the charges were legit and the seizure was by the book. He claims the money was obtained illegally, even though Terry's waving around paperwork proving he sold his restaurant for that cash. Sandy's not budging an inch, telling Terry he can take it to court if he wants. But Terry's not looking for a legal battle. All he wants is that 10 grand back to spring his cousin from the slammer. After some back and forth, the police chief finally caves. There's a catch though. Terry's got to sign away his rights to the rest of the money. The deal's set. Terry can meet his cousin before they ship him off to another prison on the convict bus. Talk about a raw deal. Terry heads to the court clerk to file a complaint, but the clerk, after hearing his story, tells him he needs a court-appointed lawyer for legal police seizures. He can't help. Just then, a woman named Summer McBride, a law school PhD student, strikes up a conversation with Terry. He spills the whole story to her. Summer explains, "Look, these cases might seem unfair or even illegal, but the law gives cops a lot of wiggle room. If they suspect something, they can seize money for police expenses, catching criminals and whatnot, even if they can't prove a crime. It sucks, but that's how it is. If you want to fight this legally, it could take a year before you see your money again." In the end, Summer admits Terry definitely needs help and promises to stay in touch if she learns anything more that could help his case. Later, Terry shows up at the spot the police chief told him about, right on time. But Sandy Byrne drops a bombshell. "You're 2 minutes late, bud. The bus is already heading to another prison to move inmates." Terry loses it. He hops on his bike and pedals like a madman to catch up with the prison bus. He manages a quick chat with his cousin, promising to pay the bail and get him out as soon as possible. Desperate for cash, Terry hits up his boss, who owns a Chinese restaurant chain. He explains he's in a jam and needs 10 grand. But Mr. Liu, the restaurant owner, can't help. Turns out the cops showed up with a search warrant, looking for drugs, and took his safe. Talk about bad timing. Terry, not one to give up, marches straight to the police chief. "We had a deal," he says. "You give me 10 grand, I don't file a complaint." But Sandy Byrne just smirks. "That was the whole point, genius. To mess with you." Terry's not having it. "You've already caused enough trouble. You even got my boss fired." Just then, Jessica Sims, scrolling through Wikipedia, discovers Terry's not just some random guy. He's a trained Marine officer who knows jiu-jitsu. Byrne, panicking, pulls out his gun. Big mistake. In a flash, Terry's got both Byrne and his partner Steve disarmed. He empties their clips, cuffs them, and drags them back to the station. Jessica, caught off guard, is forced to send another officer to the archives to fetch Terry's money as promised. Then, in a stroke of genius, Terry convinces Jessica to slap some fake cuffs on him and drive him out in a police car. She even radios in that she couldn't find him, throwing the others off the scent. But just when Terry thinks he's in the clear, cruising with his hard-won 10 grand, Steve, that crooked cop from earlier, shows up out of nowhere. "Get out and surrender," Steve yells. But instead of waiting, he opens fire. Terry, acting on instinct, grabs Steve's stun gun and shoots back. In the chaos that follows, he manages to slip away from the other cop's bullets. Heart-pounding, Terry calls Summer McBride and spills the whole crazy story. Racing against time, he makes it to the court clerk. He's about to post bail for his cousin with the recovered cash when suddenly, bam, Cops swarm in, knock him out, and drag him away. Next thing he knows, Marston's telling him to get in a car. Apparently, someone wants a word with him. The plot thickens. In a sinister night scene, we see someone injecting Summer McBride with drugs while she's fast asleep. Turns out, these creeps are trying to frame her, knowing she's battled addiction before. Their end game? Get her kicked out of her job. Meanwhile, Terry's getting a crash course in corrupt cop economics from Sandy Byrne during their car ride. Byrne's spiel. This money keeps us in business, protecting folks. The government's not exactly generous with our budget. Then, in a twist, Byrne uncuffs Terry, hands back all his cash, and drops a bombshell. Your cousin got into a nasty fight in jail. He's in the hospital, stabbed pretty bad. We don't know if he'll make it. Terry's devastated. This is on you, he spits out. Byrne, unfazed, lays out the deal. We're making amends. Go back to your boat business or whatever. Stay quiet, you're free. Make trouble? You're looking at 30 years in the slammer, or worse. We'll be watching to make sure you skip town. Break this deal, and you'll regret it. At the hospital, Terry's world crumbles. His cousin didn't make it. He sits by the bedside saying a tearful goodbye. Worried sick about Summer, Terry breaks into her place, finding her unconscious in the bathroom. When she comes to, she spills the beans. Someone drugged her to ruin her career, using her past addiction against her. She opens up about her history, letting Terry in on her struggles. But the nightmare's not over. When Summer shows up at work, her boss, a seasoned judge, drops another bomb. A reliable source says you're using again. Summer denies it, but the judge is adamant. The drug test will tell the truth. In a cruel twist of fate, the test comes back positive, and just like that, Summer's out of a job. Terry and Summer meet up at Mr. Lou's restaurant, determined to blow the lid off this whole mess. They're on a mission to find some solid evidence and expose this rotten system. First stop, the court clerk. But he's tight-lipped, scared of losing his job. He does drop a cryptic hint, though. It all leads back to the judge. I'm in the dark here. Undeterred, our dynamic duo decides to pay the judge a midnight visit. They manage to get him talking, and boy, does he spill the beans. He reveals a systemic corruption where dirty cops and judges routinely pocket cash, only to funnel it back into public services. The kicker? All this dirt is filed away in the court archives for a month. Terry realizes this could be his ticket to uncovering the truth about his cousin's murder. But just as they're about to leave, they find the judge has popped a boatload of pills in a suicide attempt. With the clock ticking, Terry and Summer make a beeline for the court archives in the dead of night. They're racing to grab the info before it vanishes. After snagging what they need, they torch the place to cover their tracks. But just as Terry's keeping watch, Summer gets nabbed while digging deeper. Terry, not one to give up, tails them. He manages to corner a cop and squeezes him for info about Summer's whereabouts. The cop coughs up details on Steve. Now Terry's got a plan. He tells Steve he'll trade the stolen info for Summer's freedom. If not, he's threatening to blow the whistle to the higher-ups with everything on that hard drive. The next day, it's showtime. But Terry's got a trick up his sleeve. He rings Sandy Byrne, feeding him a fake location. No way he's playing by their rules. When Marston shows up, Terry's long gone. Without missing a beat, Terry makes a beeline for the police station. He's got his eyes on the prize, the back room where they're stashing all that ill-gotten cash. Terry's not messing around. He ambushes Byrne with a non-lethal weapon, knocks him out cold, and ties him up. Then he turns to Jessica Sims, demanding she torch all the money. But Jessica's not having it. She turns the tables, getting the drop on Terry with his own gun. Just when it looks like game over, with Terry surrounded by Byrne and his goons, Marston has a change of heart. He decides to stand up to his corrupt boss, warning them off. Byrne, ever the charmer, responds by shooting Marston in the leg. In the chaos, Terry seizes his chance. He rushes to Marston's side, patching up his wound. Marston lets him in on a little secret. The cop car's got a camera. One push of a button, and it's all on tape. Terry's not done yet. He throws a smoke grenade, creating the perfect distraction. Like a ninja, he takes out the bad cops without firing a single shot. Talk about finesse. Finally, he tracks down the car where Summer's been knocked out cold. They've drugged her again, the bastards. With the camera rolling, Terry and Marston make their great escape. But wait, there's more! Just as the state troopers are closing in, Jessica Sims pulls a fast one. She rams Burns' car, stopping him in his tracks. Looks like she's had enough of her boss's dirty dealings. The other cops fall in line, escorting them away. In the final scene, Terry races to the hospital with Marston and Summer. He's clutching that hard drive like it's made of gold. It's got all the evidence they need.